So Jeannie, who's our guest on the Energy Nerd Show today?
Saul Griffith is back.
Whoa,
Hey,
Saul.
Saul.
Hi.
Hey guys, great to be back.
What are we talking about today? I've been reading your book, Plug In and Substack, and we're excited about all the stuff you've been thinking about and writing. Where should we start?
I've started working on a new book, which is about all of the flow of materials through the global human economy and their impacts on climate and energy. That's very early. Just finished a book in Australia called Plug In. So Electrify in the US was a book, 2020. It was the hypothetical. If you get electricity prices to here and the prices of solar and electric vehicles and batteries to here, then it's going to be a cornucopia of cheap energy in America. And Plug In, which is a book I just finished this year for the Australian context, is that book has come true. Unfortunately, it hasn't come true in America. So there's a conversation. We could talk about why it's true in Australia, or we could talk about how on earth are we going to make electricity cheap in America? Because I think we've done a good story of selling Electrify everything, but we forgot that you also have to make electricity cheap. And because of data centers and other political phenomenon, electricity is set to get more expensive in America, making it harder.
Well, I, for one, would love to hear the good news about plug-in and see kind of what's possible. Like, I think probably everybody would love to hear something a little upbeat. If we wander into what can we possibly do in America, I mean, that'd be a bonus.
All right. I really liked one of the opening chapters of Plug In. It's a story about a friend of mine, Chris Kerr. He has a family of 5, so 4 kids. It's a big family, high energy family. He lives on the south coast of New South Wales, so 3 or 4 hours south of Sydney. He got a really high electricity bill in 2020 during COVID, like $1,500 for a month. And he was like, oh, I'm sick of this. And it was under COVID, and he just had to cancel his holiday because of COVID. And he had a whole bunch of money sitting, burning a hole in his pocket. So he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll buy as much solar as I can. So he put a 15 kilowatt solar system on his roof. He would have paid the equivalent of about 75 US cents per watt for the installation at that time. It's now about 65 or 60 cents in Australia. That's about 5 to 10 times cheaper than you can buy it in the US. So anyway, now he's got this really cheap solar system producing really cheap electricity. And in his words, he was doing everything for a return on investment. But he quickly realized he'd bought too much solar, and so he had all of this excess electricity, and he realized that the feed-in tariffs, what he was getting paid for his excess, weren't that great, and he'd be better off electrifying stuff in his house. So he started electrifying everything in the house, and he electrified the water heater, and in his words, he over-optimized it, meaning the wife had a cold shower. Then he realized that the return on investment wasn't the only frame in which you should think about electrification. You should also think about, return on comfort and return on health and family happiness. So he recognized his wife's constituency. He kept electrifying, and then he realized that there was another constituency in the house, which was the kids, who are raised very aware that climate change is real and is going to affect them and needs fixing. So they were in it for the return on environment or the return on climate. So I love this framing: return on investment, return on comfort, return on climate. And he goes on to show that now he's done all those things. That family is saving about $8,000 a year on the cost of all of the energy to run their whole lives. They've got the electric car. They even heat their pool electrically that they have. So they're living in total, like there's no abstinence here. Electric vehicles, electric cooking, electric space heating, electric water heating, even electric hot tub and electric swimming pool. And they're all zero emission, saving $8,000 a year. And the home is more comfortable and healthier than, magically what's happened when you electrify your house is most of the asthma and respiratory illnesses also disappear. So I think it's a wonderful way to say that it's possible that this future that we want, zero emission, it works for multiple different reasons now. And so that's how the book begins. Then the book is, again, Electrify, just to frame it, was very much geared towards policymakers. What are the big ideas? What are the big things you need to do? And Plug In is sort of written for the contractor and the average, we call them punter, which is, being the average redneck's house.
The contractors are the heroes of the book.
Right, and we try to make the contractors the heroes of the book. Exactly. We call them tradies in Australia. People might think I'm a climate hero, or they definitely think that someone like Al Gore is a climate hero. But actually the heroes that we really need to celebrate, who are really going to get the job done, are our tradies and our contractors. And so the book even thinks a little bit about that. And then it just goes through each one of the purchases. So the idea is like, okay, you're panicked about climate, you want to do something. I want you to hurry up and make 5 good decisions in the next decade. That means in the next decade, the likely news is you're going to get a new car, you're going to get a new water heater, you're going to get a new kitchen, you're going to get a new heating system, and you're going to figure out how to get cheap electricity. So here's how you make those 5 decisions well. Electric car, all the things. So it's a pretty simple framework, and then each chapter goes through those decisions. And I actually talked to friends of mine, like one of the guys, his company personally has installed 139,000 rooftop solar systems.
Wow.
And then another one of the guys I interview, runs a company doing heat pump water heaters. And then a woman who has developed a financial product specifically to loan money to Australian households to buy the electrification kit. That's her name, Catherine McConnell. That's a company called Bright. So it really talks about the whole ecosystem and how you do it and how you make the choices. How do you choose the right contractor?
The book is wonderfully encouraging and kind of breaks it down. Like here's these 5 big decisions. There's other stuff, there's details, but it just really helps to make a plan and to feel like, oh, this is what we can do. We don't have to do it all at once. We can do this as we're replacing equipment, and it just is inspirational for people who want to do this, I think.
Yeah, I think we got to not say electrify everything, climate is urgent, and then have people go to a place of guilt, like I can't afford this, or for whatever reasons. I think that's a really bad thing. So the idea if you've got 10 years is like, make a plan. When you get there, figure out how you're going to finance it. If you finance it, you should be able to make this thing operate much cheaper in your life and save you money. Of the important pieces of the book, I want it to be pretty simple. Like, there are multiple reasons to now do it. It's pretty easy. It's only 5 decisions. You shouldn't feel guilty. You just need to plan for it. And the contractor is the hero of the story. So it's pretty simple, but it also shows you like this is possible, right? We can do this.
I'd love to hear more about the contractors because we've tried, we eventually got our hydronic, heat pump, radiant floor, hot water, all that, but it took a lot for us to find a contractor. A, where could we even buy the equipment? We got it from Canada. And B, that was the first one that our heating and cooling guy had ever installed. He did a fabulous job. It's been like 3 years and we're doing okay. But how are they figuring out the transition from the old technologies to the new? And are a lot of people embracing it? So I don't know. How's the transition going?
It's not going as fast as I want. It's definitely going faster than America. Our adoption of EVs is slower than Californians, but faster than Virginians.
Mm-hmm.
So we could certainly improve. Nowhere in the world is perfect. I think Norway has the highest uptake of EVs. Australia's unique success is rooftop solar and now batteries for the homes. There was a template for how you do the contractor thing with the rooftop solar. So the government actually created a training and certification scheme that helped take the liability away from the contractor, guaranteed that the contractors would do good work and build a high quality, well-trusted installer network. And so I think that's an important piece of the contractor story. I think, honestly, the climate and environment movement in the US isn't quite rigorous enough or practical enough, or both. Like, neither technically rigorous enough nor like implementation details rigorous enough. We should have all been thinking more about training and certification and workforce for the last 15 years. And there are echoes in the past, Van Jones and his green workforce type stuff, but we never turned those into the programs that literally created millions of contractors who were trained to do the jobs. So Australia's doing a little bit better. There's room for improvement. I heard an interesting scheme in England, I think. They're going to pay all the contractors to install their own heat pumps. I think this is really clever. Just like, if you're a contractor, you get a free heat pump, maybe a free solar, maybe a free battery. So you're then doing it for yourself, and then you become an advocate because you're like, hey, I'm experiencing these great things at home and they are saving me money. Because you can still find an old contractor in Australia who'll show up and they'll be like, oh, yeah, nah, mate, yeah, nah, I got a gas heater in the back of the truck. You want that for cheap? But if you've got that person on the electric lifestyle, there's a better chance that they show up as a salesperson. No, I have this at home. It's totally comfortable. No, it totally works in the depths of winter. No, it isn't more maintenance. It in fact lasts longer. Like, we need to get everyone on the sale.
Oh, that sounds cool.
That's a great idea. One of the differences that you alluded to a few minutes ago between Australia and the States is the price of rooftop solar. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what's going on? What's going on there?
I think it might be luck, not genius, that got us here. Way back in the early 2000s, in a trade for what had to happen at one of the COPs, the previous prime minister just said, of course, it should be okay for any solar to connect to the grid, and sort of mandated instant interconnection. In America, the delay for interconnection is, I think, 90 days on average. In Australia, it's under 24 hours, and the contractor does it from their phone.
Whoa, that's huge.
Similarly, you can't be refused a permit. The permit is can be executed and done over the phone on the job site on the day off. I think the average permits in the US for rooftop solar are 60 to 90 days, because you have these AHJs, which are authorities having jurisdiction. There's 10,000 of them across the nation, and they're all a mess of different rules. Those two delays and the bureaucracy associated with it eliminates a lot of people's desire. They get cold feet because, like, hey, I thought I wanted solar, but now it's 90 days later and it feels difficult. So they give up. So it adds a lot of cost. It adds a lot of friction. You've got tariffs, but really that only makes a small difference, because the hardware is only worth about 20 cents a watt. Even if you had 100% tariffs on all the Chinese solar hardware, that's only 20 cents out of the $3 a watt. So more important in the US to go after the interconnection and the permitting, and then just some scale. So I think in the US, you've got just over 1% of households now with rooftop solar. In Australia, it's 40.
40?
Yeah.
Ah.
So it looks like we had a few technical difficulties. That's a conspiracy, I believe, the electricity system that knows that we're onto them and that rooftop solar could be cheaper in America. Anyway, it looks like you need permit reform in the US. You need government to help, or maybe not government, but training programs to help lower the cost and increase the workforce. And then the other thing, of course, is we need electricity market reform. So the incumbent players don't always love solar, and that's a huge part of the permitting interconnection problem. So it's about pushing back against the large players in the US. I think it's something you probably have to politically organize around. I always like the idea that in America we should run a get the government off my roof campaign. Guns, God, and solar, which is to say, irrespective of political stripe, it's just a good idea to get cheap electricity from your rooftop. So we need to make that happen in the US, and that'll make the rest of the electrify everything agenda easier once people enjoy far cheaper electricity. Just to tantalize you, the cost after financing of rooftop solar in Australia per kilowatt hour is about 5 cents. That's a hell of a lot cheaper than most people are paying for their electricity. So we need to win that reform in the US. I'll finish there. So that's probably just to tease some of the things I'm thinking of and trying to work on. And then you can follow my work on my Substack, which is called Energy and Stuff, or you could listen to my podcast, which is called The Shameless Plug. Who doesn't like a good electricity pun? So have a look at those two venues. You can find them on the YouTubes and all the usual places. And then I look forward, if I've been on twice, maybe the energy nerds will have me back for one more. And sorry that my internet problem in Australia seemed to have just hamstrung us at the finish here. Anyway, thanks everyone for having me on, and let's electrify everything.